Kind of a nice day out today. Right now it's about, I don't know, it feels like it's about 60-ish, 62. It's got a warm wind, but it's not warm really. It's perfect, honestly. Got my black Dakars on. Honestly, don't know why Klein even made a black. Maybe there's a void there. I don't know. Maybe people like it. I think, my opinion, like just a nice like khaki color, straight khaki color pants would be really nice, especially with this Carlsbad jacket. Just going to get gas. I don't know though. It's really nice out. Yesterday, a couple guys blocking the road, and I stopped to talk to them. And one of them, I had a feeling I knew who it was. One of the big landowners around here, and ended up having a 3-hour conversation just about the politics here and everything. And there's really nothing that I hadn't already assumed in regards to the government expanding, the small little town government that we have, constantly trying to expand and do sneaky stuff, trying to get around the budget. And for the most part, they're good here because they haven't been taken over yet. But where you have the problem is typical, your fire department and your police department is always trying to raise the taxes. And that's why when you have like Democrat areas, people think, and this is a Republican area, by the way. That's what I mean. It hasn't been taken over yet by the certain city people. People think, that all Democrats are defund the police. That's absolutely not true. Democrats are some of your biggest supporters of government. Of course, we all know that as far as spending and government agencies and bureaucracies, but even police, Democrats, especially the boomers and the women, they love their law enforcement. They love their heroes, their fire department, and they're the ones who typically push and push and push to try to get more money for that, for education, the whole thing. So that's why I always say Democrats they're not really a political party for, an organic political party. They're really an extension of the federal government, but also your local governments. They work hand in hand because they're the ones that always want to expand government, raise taxes, to expand all the safety nets and safety, and police, fire department. I've noticed a lot of boomer Republicans fall into that boat too, with regards particularly to fire and police. But luckily, the guy that I was talking to yesterday, he owns, I think, over 900 acres of farmland in this town. He's one of the big families, well-known families who are very well liked and respected. They've always been very welcoming and nice to me and my family. Um, Luckily, he's very involved in the town politics, and he seems like a very smart guy. Look at all the leaves. This is cool. Man, I wish I had like a tail can to pick up all those leaves getting thrown up. Making a wake here. So yeah, it was, he's always talking about, they're always fighting to get, new this, new that. I laughed because, and some of the land that was donated to the police department here is actually from that guy's family. And they made a little walking trail, and I laughed because I guarantee saying that they were going to put a walking trail around that land there where the police and fire facility is, I guarantee that was part of it, like them trying to sweeten the deal, say, oh, we'll make this wonderful, walking trail with, exercise equipment, like I'm sure you've seen this. And you go there, and it's like all abandoned now, and it's like, this is just going to be it. They're just going to take it. The police department's just going to take it and use it for their own purposes eventually. So that's what happens every time. In Laconia, they built a little rollerblading rink in the police station parking lot, and it was the same thing. I guarantee it was like part of a deal. The police saying, "Oh, well, we'll do this and this and that if you give us this. We'll make this wonderful quality of life improvement to the city, and we'll build this." Blah 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 blah. Well, you go there now, and the police department take it over. They park their cars in there now. So, people that are on the Trump team, nice. They erroneously, in my opinion, they're just like gung-ho police, government, military. That's so wrong. As an American, as someone, a constitutional conservative in particular, if you call yourself a conservative, you should not be pro-government of any kind. And the reason being is that any power that you give to government, once the other regime takes over, it's going to be used against you. And it's anti-American anyway. As a conservative, you're supposed to keep government in check, keep it from growing. I mean, we're way past that. I mean, and so what we're reaping now is the stupidity of both Republicans and Democrats to really do their job as American citizens and keep government accountable and small and transparent. So what we live in now, I always say, this is no longer America. This is the United States. I don't call it America. And the only flag I fly is the Betsy Ross flag, because to me that represents a period of time where we understood the value of what we had. Really, I don't like the generational warfare, but really, I mean, if you look at history, the boomers really destroyed this country because my wife makes a very good point. She said they're the first generation that was raised on television. Yep, I think that's a very valid point. They're the very first generation that was raised on propaganda. So it's like I say, when people say our democracy, you're a threat to our democracy. Good. Because I don't want a democracy. I want the constitutional republic that was intended. And I don't support more taxes. I don't support taxes. I don't support all these government bureaucracies. I don't. Government, as one of my favorite YouTube guys, Rick Gore, as he always says, guy's great. Watch him. Good luck, America. I've watched him for years before he became, before he started doing this crazy live stream stuff, where he's got like this fan base now. Before he had a fan base, he was small enough that you could talk to him. He always says government is always the problem and never the solution. That is 100% right. Government is never the solution. Our relationship with our government should be an uneasy alliance. Where we have line drawn in the sand. That's how it was intended. But the interesting thing about police and fire department and all that stuff, people want to act like they're so patriotic and everything, but if you look closely, if you attend your town meetings, they're always the ones trying to push for salary increases for themselves on your dime. I don't find that very patriotic. I don't find that really much different than someone who's milking the system on welfare. And let's be honest, they really don't deserve it in many cases. I mean, a small town like this, come on. Don't make me laugh. In Laconia, starting salary for a police officer is $67,000 to $92,000. I guess depending on your experience, I'm not sure. That's starting salary. That's your tax dollars. Now Laconia is a shithole, but it's still not really that violent. They're not really putting their lives on the line. But, you see signs all around Laconia that say, Laconia welcomes everyone. You know what that means, right? That's the beginning of the end, right? Let me tell you another story. Laconia, years ago, they put in Section 8 housing, government-assisted housing, low-income, quote-unquote, welfare kind of stuff, right? Republicans fought it. Not long after that, some young kid from that community stabbed and killed another local kid. Never happened before. Nothing like that was ever heard of. It was so bad that they made a park, a really nice baseball field and soccer field in dedication to that kid who died. Where are the Republicans now? Why aren't they saying, "We fucking told you so"? There's a dead spider in there. slow pump. I think I'm only filling up a motorcycle. Oh dear. Oh my gosh, this is like the slowest pump I've ever seen. Do you imagine if I was filling up the truck with this? Oh, I know you can fit more than that. Let's go see if they're done grading this road up here. So I canceled that order from eBay because it was day 4 and they still hadn't shipped that face shield. So I just bought one off Amazon. Same price, overnight delivery. What are you gonna do? I read a comment on a video someone from a different country, I don't know where, but they said something that I said recently. Their observation was, so you decide who your representatives are going to be based on whether or not you can murder babies. That's American politics. That's basically it. Obviously only one side does that, but now, my opinion, once again, is I just keep the government out of it. I don't believe that they should be funneling tax dollars into it, granting tax dollars to, organizations that do it, and I don't believe they should be able to tell people they can't do it as long as they're paying enough money for it. Because, self-preservation is such a base instinct that you would hope that people would make the right decision. Should government put restrictions on it? My heart says yes. Certainly. But I don't know if that's the right thing. Because places, I think, like Michigan, is it, where they can kill the baby after it's been born? That's, to me, that's soul crushing. That kills me. That breaks my heart. But I don't know. I really don't. I would say the government should restrict that. I'd have to look at all the possibilities. I'd have to hear the arguments. Because our government is there. Well, it was established because the majority of the founders of this country didn't want a federal government. They didn't want a centralized government. And I think that only passed by like 1 or 2 votes. So that's where the Bill of Rights came in. It's because, well, okay, so if we're going to have this, what are we doing? Are we turning? If we're going to have this centralized government, which they didn't want, then we need to clearly outline the rights that cannot be violated by this government. I believe originally the government was intended to protect people's rights and to deal with matters of diplomacy when dealing with foreign countries. and things of that nature. It was never meant to become this leviathan, as it's put, that it's become. So anyway, going by the idea that our central government is there to protect our rights, I think once a baby is born, once it requires support outside of the mother, it now is a living thing that falls under those rights. I mean, just by nature, just by, I mean, that's the reality. Like, how could you do that to a living anything? I wouldn't be able to. Even an animal, I wouldn't be able to do that to an animal. That's why I'm like, not really for farming, of livestock. I had an argument, not an argument, but I kind of had a debate with someone not long ago. Yeah, like I think lamb and veal. I actually didn't know that lamb was essentially baby sheep. I was like, because I think mutton is like the older sheep. So, killing an animal and eating it after it's lived its life and it's getting old, that's fine. I don't really feel bad doing that. But killing like a young or baby animal to me is that's inhuman. That's my opinion. Again, I wouldn't make it law, but that's just my own feelings. I don't believe in making laws or restrictions based on feelings. You need a good dose of empirical evidence before you start doing stupid shit like making laws. And I mean, if you look at the founders, if anyone hasn't read any of the Federalist and non-Federalist papers, oh my gosh, it's just absolute brilliance. The wisdom these people had. They were very well versed in history and in government, and how governments work. It's just really amazing to read. And there's people now, they have no clue. And I would people will say we should have a convention of, what is it, constitutional convention of states. I say no, because people are so ignorant now. Even conservatives, even people that call themselves conservatives, I mean, they've done a lot of damage to this country, as I just stated about, expanding government. Look at the Bush era. Look at the frenzy that they whipped those Republicans into. So no, I think people are just far too ignorant to have to sort of amend anything. I think they were far smarter, far greater men that established the Constitution and the charter of this country, basically. Far smarter than anyone that lives today, except for maybe a handful of people. I think honestly that, like the guy I was talking to yesterday, these small town old families who, I think they got it right. They're the smarter people. Just always fighting them on the budget, always fighting them on growing the government. Always, always, always fight. Always vote no, right? That's the true spirit of this country. Or what this country used to be. I'm going on quite a long look. Because I have nothing else to talk about. I mean, I haven't been going out much because the weather sucks. Just don't feel like it really. It's fucking freezing in the morning. It's just like, nah. do something inside this morning. But I'll get into it again. Um, so let's just go full political discussion. I'm not going to go on an angry rant, but I like to say things that make people think. Like, was the 19th Amendment really good for this country? Again, I don't think, and it's like I say to my wife, like, you can't say no. You can't tell women they can't vote, right? My wife is just as smart as anybody else, just as able. But would we be in the mess we're in if things were different? They probably would have found another weak spot in the armor to peck at. So I don't know. So of course, I don't advocate repealing any amendment. Well, I don't advocate repealing the 19th Amendment. I wouldn't say women shouldn't vote, but are we better now than we were? I didn't exist during the days where women couldn't do anything, but I hear it was pretty crappy. And I'm the type of person that I think a girl and a woman can do anything that they set their mind to, and I wouldn't put restrictions on what they can and can't do artificially. How do you have a young daughter, and look at her and say, you'll never be as good as your brother, right? I mean, that's not human. And that's not true. Now, like, as far as physical strength, obviously there's differences, but there's things that women are much, much better at. And I think, I wish women, even, conservative women, even women that are tough, I think they should not be ashamed to be emotional and be nurturing and caring. So I think that's one of their strengths. It's something I'm not very good at. Math, I mean, anything. Intellectually, they can do anything that a guy can do. They just have to have the encouragement that guys do. So what my wife says with regard to women being able to vote is you just have to educate them better. Women, it's the way, my wife says, it's the way women are raised. It's the way girls are raised. So I really do believe everything does come down to education. Not the education system, but, information. The information that the Founding Fathers have that we no longer have. And again, you should read some of the writings from back in the day to see how much more enlightened they were than we are, and how nothing is new. This is just history repeating itself, and it seems to me that the powers that be, the Democrats, the establishment, they continue to jab and jab and jab at those weaknesses until they can finally breach them. So history will be cyclic, and it will continue to repeat itself, and they're continuing to jab at those weaknesses until they can finally succeed in breaking through. You can see it. even in local politics, they'll always vote for the same thing every every legislative session. Oh, that bill that they killed is back again, over and over and over and over and over again. Like let's take the gun stuff for instance. In New Hampshire, those freaking bills are always back on the table, and they get killed over and over and over again. But they'll keep doing it. They're just going to keep trying until they finally get through. That's why, again, if you want to understand how your government operates, just look at how the Democrats operate. And the right is so foolish because they get so suckered into the trolling, because the Democrats say, oh, threat to our democracy, blah, 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 that's undemocratic, blah, blah, blah. But we all know that our federal government and the Democrats will stop at nothing to achieve their goals. They'll cheat, but conservatives, people on the right, they get and they argue like they get lost in the weeds. Oh, well, this is not undemocratic because no, don't listen. Who cares? Let them name call. Let them say what they want. Who cares? Let it go. They're trolling you. Just smile and walk away. Antagonists. Well, it's a good thing I got this sunshade. This sun is literally right in my face. This is one hell of a corner here. I'll tell you what. So anyway, where was I? I don't remember. Last night was Halloween. That went by quick. We did a little treasure hunt for the kids. There's really nowhere to go. Take them. This town has actually, our school has less kids in it. On the other hand, you got all these people coming in building, so they're probably old farts. New Hampshire's basically the Florida of the Northeast as far as taxes go. It's actually less taxes in New Hampshire. No sales tax, no income tax, just property tax and hospitality tax or whatever. I say fuck all taxes. The only tax you should pay is your interest on your mortgage. That's about it. You know why I say fuck all taxes? Because I say fuck all government. That's why. I don't want any of the services they offer. I can do it all myself. Me and my neighbors can do it all ourselves. And that's the mentality we need to stick with in order to keep government small. Don't do things, don't move places where you can't be self-sufficient. Or at least don't move to places where that mindset already exists and try to turn it into your shitty metropolitan area that you left. That sucks. God, it's hard to see. It's so bright without the leaves on the trees. My eyes are like hurting from the sun, even though I got the sunshade down. The clear visor is definitely not going to cut it in this weather, in this season. Here's another thing that people should understand about government. And let's just take, these town meetings, for instance. Unless you're there all the time to police that government, it's going to grow. So before you start supporting laws and supporting more bureaucracy, make sure you and yours are willing and able to oversee those choices, right? It's my UPS friend. Always gives me the peace sign. That's awesome. He must be a writer. I have found my experience with UPS drivers is they're almost always, in my experience, the ones I've always dealt with, the ones I've always had, they're always patriots. What's up with that? I remember when we first moved to New Hampshire, we had one UPS driver. He was always happy. He was such a great guy. Always joking around. And one day, whenever he would deliver the boxes with the ordnance symbol on it, he would be like, "All right, more ammo." And then when we lived in Connecticut, our UPS driver, I was in the gun shop one day, which was like right down the road. It was literally like 5 minutes down the road. And right next to that gun shop was a gaming shop with like Warhammer and D&D and stuff. It was awesome. And as I'm in the gun shop, and I look at the guy buying I think he was buying a Glock, and it's our UPS driver. And I was like, "Hey, you're our UPS driver." He's like, "Oh yeah." He was laughing. I know people, they like one over the other. I always had great luck with UPS. The drivers have always been great, courteous, professional. FedEx has always been the worst for me. Some people say FedEx is better for them, so I guess it depends on where you are. Here, FedEx is pretty good, I will say, but they're still not on the same level as UPS, although that might change considering the direction that UPS has been going under new leadership of that woman. Gosh, I love this Carlsbad. It is awesome, awesome, awesome.